Just a quick heads up before we start the video. This video is a total and complete mess because I can't read sometimes, and my script decided to fly off my table when I was reading off of it. There's a lot of cuts and the audio may not be as clean as much as I hoped it would be because I use a sock as a filter over my mic, so I apologize in advance for any discomfort your ears have to go through. Aside from that, let's get started with the video.
Hi everyone, welcome to another tutorial. As the thumbnail implies, we'll be learning how to draw hands today. Like a lot of people, this is something I have a hard time with, so I'll try and show two different ways on how to work on and perfect your hands. You're going to need one thing before we do get started. Get a reference for the hand pose you want to do. Either take a picture of your own hand, take a picture of someone else's hand, go online, look up some references, or even a hand from your favorite cartoon or anime, which we'll be using either for now or the next drawing. Now let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and do one thing just before referencing it. Either put your picture on your phone or on the canvas like I do right now, and we're going to start with the shape of the palm of the hand. For my reference, I used my own hand and it's a little bit squarish, so I'm going to go ahead and do a quick little outline of the shape of my palm. Now we're going to do the first joint for the fingers, the main ones, not the thumb. The thumb we will be doing later. Since 3 of the fingers are closed, we won't be able to clearly see the second part of it. But I'll leave a little bit of space because you can see it a little bit right here beneath it. So we're going to go ahead and start drawing it. Now we're going to move on to the second joint. And a great way to help out with the length is to remember that the pointer finger and the ring finger are the same length. The middle finger is the longest, and obviously the pinky ring is the shortest. We're just going to do this as light as we can. Don't worry about the other details at the moment. We'll go ahead and we'll work on the details some more when we start lining it. And for the last thing we'll need to do is draw the thumb. Now regardless in how the hand is posed, you'll need to do the joint for it. My thumb, like you can see over here, is small like the rest of my hand. So I'll just do a small oval for the joint. Just like the thumb, the finger has 2 different joints. So I'm going to go ahead and do the ovals for the joints. By the way, a quick tip with hands is you can play around with. If you want more muscular hands, draw them more angular, and if you want more artistic hands or petite hands, I recommend drawing them more slender and rounder than most hands. Now let's go ahead and start lining the sucker. Now, just one quick tip for whenever you do start shading the hands. I recommend that regardless if you're going to do it black and white or colored, that whenever you do start coloring in the shadows that it is darker than the skin tone you are using. So just go ahead and lightly, I'm going to have the light coming up from this direction up here. So the shadows are going to be towards the inside and the lower part of the hand. Okay, now that we've finished lining this hand, let's go ahead and get started on another way to perfect your hands. For this second part, you're going to need a hand that you want to reference either printed out for traditionally and tracing paper, if you're going to do it by hand with paper and pen, or a separate layer to do this digitally. Now, for my references for this part, I'll be using Texas from Disney's short-lived show Motor City on the left, and on the right, I'll be using one of the arms from one of the clusters from Steven Universe. Like before, we're going to do the shape of the palm first. Like before, we're going to do the shape of the palm, so it'll be different for a sharp, angular show like Motor City versus Steven Universe's smooth shapes. Now, for the fingers, we're going to be doing just the lines for it for Motor City. Now to get rid of the references, and now we're going to go ahead and start trying to eyeball it by hand. Now, we already have the shape and the lines indicating where it's formed, and just from memory, I already know that the Motor City one here on the left is going to be a lot more edgier than the smoother version over here on the right. So we're going to go ahead and start lining. It's not so bad, the hand, now that we're looking back at it. It is a little bit more different than the Motor City hand that I originally referenced off of, but it's good enough for a cartoon hand. Now, the reason that I decided to go ahead and do this technique is because a lot of the times cartoons do have very unique references for hands and whatnot. So, what I recommend doing is taking a bunch of hands from different TV shows and just tracing and outlining the shapes and then doing it on your own time. Once you get the shapes down and the way that it's formed, or eventually you'll be able to do it on your own without the lines and without references. So that way you can go ahead and keep working on it. But for now, we're going to go ahead and move on to the Steven Universe hand. Obviously, there is a huge difference between the two different hands. I did mess up a little bit on the Steven Universe hand, but there is a huge difference between the angular one from from Motor City and the other smoother one from Steven Universe. These two are very different styles, but they are unique in their very own special way. So we're going to go ahead and move on to shadowing, and like I said before, just take a really light color and start painting it in. But for this one, we're going to have the light come here from the middle, and the light and the shadow will be cast into the left-hand side. Meanwhile, the Steven Universe one is going to be on the back arm of the reference. We finished shading, there we have it, we have our hands. And as always, keep in mind to keep practicing. No one gets good overnight, so keep trying, and here's hoping nothing gets out of hand.
Hey, thanks so much for watching the video. I know it took a long time for this to come out, but I've been busy with a lot of things, including going back to a terrible, horrible place in the deep recesses of my mind that is just terrible, and I don't want to be tracked back there. I really, really don't, but I promised my folks I'd go to college, and this is something that they want me to do, so oh well, here we go again. Aside from that, I will be trying to post more content, and I am trying to get some better equipment, better editing programs, and a new tablet for myself so I can pump out more content for you guys that's actually worthy to be bestowed upon your eyeballs. I'm sorry for the joke. I can't help myself with puns. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and here's until next time.